fuck off.
So it looks like me saying that I didn't like Gladiator too much in my last Ratchet & Clank video kinda sparked a bit of, well, I wouldn't say controversy, but it turns out people like this game, and for whatever reason, I only have negative opinions when looking back on this title. But how does it hold up? Now, I don't know. Let's see how it holds up. It might be good. I might have been a stupid little kid. It might be the best game I've ever played in my life. Let's find out. What's the worst that could happen? After the overwhelming reception from the first 3 Ratchet & Clank games, Insomniac Games decided, fuck it, let's do something completely different and see how that shit goes, home dog, and released Ratchet Gladiator, otherwise known as Ratchet Deadlocked, pretty much everywhere else in the world, I don't know. Upon Gladiator's release, it was met with some pretty good reviews, scoring on average at 8 out of 10. But despite the great reception, little old me couldn't stand this game. As a kid, I only played about 2 hours of it in total, and completely hated it. So I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I possibly can, and you know what? I can't lie, I'm actually pretty excited to give this game another shot. Who knows, maybe I'll have a new favourite Ratchet & Clank game on my hands. Or maybe I won't. I really don't know. Or do I? No, I don't. Why would I even say that? That's fucking stupid. Ratchet Gladiator is an action platformer game released in October of 2005 for the PlayStation 2. If you have seen my previous Ratchet & Clank video, click here to see it, you would know why I said but I'll tell you again, because why not? I say because I really wouldn't class this game as a platformer. There is literally no stages in this entire game that I would count as being entirely platform based. Instead, it's mostly, oh hey look, here's a pool of lava or something and you can only get across if you jump on these pads. It's the loosest form of platforming I've seen in any Ratchet & Clank game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The biggest draw point for Ratchet & Clank games, at least for me, is the fun combat and the exploration. Luckily for me, this game has one of those things. While Gladiator doesn't have a massive arsenal of weapons, the ones it does have are incredibly satisfying to use and can each be modified and leveled up to level 99. Yes, that's right, they took the amazingly fun leveling up system from the last 2 Ratchet & Clank games and said, fuck it, balls to the wall, boys. The fact that you can level each weapon up to level 99 adds so much depth to an otherwise stale game that I would say it was a saving grace for old Ratchet Wedlocked over here. The most fun I had out of this game was the pure satisfaction of leveling up weapons and watching as I become a stronger cat person. It also helps that much like the previous Ratchet & Clank games, the combat is stellar and makes most of the levels feel fun and interesting even though they're pretty repetitive. One of the biggest downfalls of this game is the fact that exploration has gone out the window, and the worlds that you visit for this game show are pretty bland and forgettable. Again, I feel like I have to state that this is entirely my opinion, but exploring the many worlds of Ratchet & Clank 1 through 3 was one of the most fun experiences I've had in my gaming memories, so the fact that Gladiator has no focus on that is highly disappointing for me. Each world seems to just be there to say, hey, here's the obligatory ice world, and hey, here's a new planet with a slightly different colour scheme. It really feels like Insomniac put most of their effort into making sure the gameplay was perfect, but only made the worlds as an afterthought. Saying that, there is quite a lot of locations to visit here, but that doesn't mean much when they're all forgettable and not varied in the slightest. Alright, now I'm going to hop into the story, but be warned, it is definitely a story. So after the events of Ratchet & Clank 3, our favourite Furry, Roboto, and Owl are given a job on this ship doing cool stuff. They are told that some snazzy heroes have disappeared, and since they are heroes, disappear. And by disappear, I mean they get kidnapped by these robots. It turns out this shark guy called Gleeman Vox, Gleeman? Huh. So it turns out Gleeman Vox has captured them to force them to take part in a Battle Royale-esque game show called The Dread Zone, in which contestants have to fight to survive. Does that sound familiar to you? Because it sounds pretty familiar to me. To make sure Ratchet doesn't run away like a model chicken, he is fitted with a Deadlocked collar. Oh my god, that's the name of the game. Which will blow his head up like an illegal firework if he tries to run away, and since he doesn't want that, it looks like we have to play along with this game show. Sadly, Ratchet cannot be joined by Clank in the game show, but instead is joined by two floaty robot dudes while Clank sits in a chair and plays some League of Legends. After completing a bunch of challenges, Ratchet becomes a fan favourite and Mr. Fishtails over here offers to make him a star, but is told to leave him alone as, and I quote, "He is not my mum." After Clank finishes his game of League of Legends, he plans to escape from the game show by being a pro DDoSer and giving Ratchet access to the control panel, which would let him free all of the heroes. But Sharknado over here has rigged it to explode. From here, Ratchet has to race against time to stop that from happening or something. Sure. After Ratchet has stopped that kerfuffle from happening, Voxbox over here goes batshit crazy and decides to make the station self-destruct to kill everyone. Surprise, surprise, Ratchet and Co escape and Fishy Man dies. And that's it, the whole story. While it isn't anything special, I actually kinda liked it. I would even say it's one of the better stories out of the PS2 Ratchet & Clank games. It's pretty good, I mean, it's at least interesting. It also helps that much like the majority of the Ratchet series, the comedy is pretty on point, albeit a bit pandering with all the references, but still on point. Also Nefarious and his butler make a cameo. I like them. They're pretty cool. Sadly, the soundtrack for this game does nothing for me, with pretty much every single track being serviceable at best. But saying that, I don't really think this game needed any next level music. It just needed something to blow shit up to, and the soundtrack does that pretty well, so I guess it was alright? I don't know, I'm not good with music. In terms of graphics, this game does look pretty great for a PlayStation 2 title, but it doesn't really show off its visuals well. Most of the areas look bland and while not bad looking, very dull. It feels like even Insomniac knew that the areas looked dull, as a lot of the time when starting a mission, for whatever reason the camera was either facing directly up at the sky or down at the ground, instead of showing off areas like in the previous titles. I assume this was just some sort of glitch with the camera, but it was still there, so I'm gonna sass it. A majority of the missions are on-foot segments where Ratchet has to run around, shoot shit, blow shit up, get robots to spin a ball or turn a bolt, rinse and repeat. That is literally all there is to it. It's simple but fun nonetheless. I feel like I shouldn't enjoy these levels as much as I do, but the combat really carries them in my eyes, and once again, it's always satisfying to level up weapons. They've also brought back a personal favourite mechanic with the grinding segments, but they are nowhere near as good as the other titles in the series. Since this game has a bigger focus on the combat, the grinding sections mostly consist of standing still and shooting bad guys on rails, instead of focusing on jumping from track to track. This is pretty disappointing as I feel like they could have combined these two aspects together really well by having a section of the grind rails be focused on shooting enemies, and then a section where you have to focus on jumping over obstacles and jumping between several rails. Again, this is a personal issue, but I feel like they really could have done a lot more with what they had here. This is just a bit of a nitpick. There is also vehicle segments here, which, more so than not, I can't fucking stand. First of all, you have this crab machine where all you do is walk around holding R1 and constantly pressing L1 over and over again, because that's the only way you won't get a butt ton of damage because dodging barely works. The second vehicle type is a speed racer thing where you embrace your inner Superman 64 and guide the most floaty controlling hoverbike through rings. Thrilling. And the last vehicle type is a spaceship thing, and I actually kinda like it. It controls well and is almost impossible to get killed in, as all you need to do is keep moving while shooting enemies and you'll be fine. So that's pretty cool. But hey, you know what else is cool? Skill points make a return, and you get them for literally everything you do. You hit a box, a skill point. You kill a guy, a skill point. You jump off a cliff, skill point. It kinda takes away any satisfaction of getting skill points, and there's so many that it's gonna take you a while to get them all. It's kind of a double-edged sword in that sense. It extends the playtime, but it's not very satisfying or fun to get. I don't know. After completing the game, you have the option to replay it on a harder difficulty while keeping all of your bolts and weapons. Much like the other Ratchet & Clank games, this really helps with its replay value, allowing for multiple playthroughs, all feeling relatively different. Also, there's bosses. They're not interesting at all, and they're pretty boring, so I'm not really going to talk about them, okay? Cool. So there really isn't anything else I have to say about this game. I must admit that after replaying it, I did enjoy it a lot more than I remember, and it does have some really great mechanics, the best one being the fact that you can level up every weapon to 99. While it isn't my favourite Ratchet & Clank game, it definitely deserves a bit more credit than I was giving it. So that's pretty darn cool right there. I like that. That's cool. Since this year I'm going to be making a lot of Ratchet & Clank videos, I'm hoping that every other video will be based on a Ratchet & Clank game, I think I'm going to start placing these games in an order of most enjoyed to least enjoyed. This way you guys can easily see my order of favourite Ratchet & Clank games as the year goes on, so that should be pretty cool. So Ratchet Gladiator is going to get placed in second place, next to the original Ratchet & Clank. This by no means is because I didn't enjoy the game, it's just that there's only 2 games on the list so far, and I personally enjoyed the original Ratchet & Clank game more than this one. If you haven't given Gladiator / Deadlocked a chance, or have a negative opinion on it from previous experiences like I did, I would definitely recommend going back and giving it another go. It is held up surprisingly well, and there's even a HD version of it on the PlayStation Store. It's pretty cool. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it with your friends, family, or creepy neighbour, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's anything you liked or didn't like, be sure to let me know in the comments down below, or tweet me at Snooping Turtle. I want to quickly say thanks to everyone who popped in to watch me play this game when I was streaming it on YouTube. If you didn't already know, I've been trying to stream on this channel more, so that's definitely a thing. Also, if you want to watch another dumb video of me playing games, you can check out this video I did for Batman Rise of Sin Tzu, or this one I did for the first Ratchet & Clank game. That's all from me now. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye. This is fucking stupid. This is dumb. This is what I chose to do. This right here is how I chose to show my face. Fuck.